Hey, what's up, guys? Danny Mo's in the house with another podcast, another episode from Nothing to Something. I'm here with a very special guest of ours. She's got a fight coming up. Ilima-lei, the Ilimanator, Macfarlane. Say what's up, girl.
How's it?
You got your fight coming up. You ready for that? You excited?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting to the crazy phase now, where I'm kind of like losing my mind a little bit. It's 2 weeks out, so that's like right around when I start turning crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's good. We're excited to have you on. We're going to talk a little bit about a lot, so stay tuned, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We're here live from Nothing to Something.
Oh, that was an intro.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. From Nothing to Something, we're here. That's funny.
Is that Manolo laughing?
No, it sounds like Manolo, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually my buddy. So everything that I did, like even with the intro, it's a beat that my buddy made, and then the laugh is all of the like plugins or what I put in from episode 1. It's my boy. We did like the first podcast, just like fucking around and shit. But yeah. So we're here. We're here. We got Ilima Macfarlane. I'm excited. You know, ever since I started training with Team Hurricane Awesome and down in San Diego, you know, I started up in Oceanside, and I met you. You've always been grinding. You've always been hustling. You've always been working. You know, so how did you start MMA? How did you get into this world and everything where you're at right now? You know, how did that happen for you?
I guess like when it first piqued my interest was, I think I was in high school, and that show Gladiators was on, and that was when Gina Carano was Crush, I think. She was one of the gladiators. Anyway, my brother-in-law, we would watch the show together. He's like, yeah, she was actually a badass Muay Thai fighter and MMA fighter. So that was the first time I ever even heard of this, and even like, oh, what is that? And then when I went to college, I saw a couple girls that I wrestled with in high school. We wrestled against each other. They were from different high schools, but I saw them competing in MMA, and so I never gave it a serious thought, but I was just like, oh, that sounds like fun, something I might like to try someday. And then it wasn't until after I finished college that I actually walked into an MMA gym. Right. But it still, at the time, wasn't because like, oh, I want to compete, I want to do that. It was really because I was just super out of shape. I was 175, and I gained a bunch of weight in college, and I was like, I need to join a gym and lose some weight. Yeah, so it was, nothing, never thought I would actually end up competing, much less making it a career, so that's how I got into MMA.
And where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Hawaii, and then I moved up here to San Diego in 2009 for school. I went to San Diego State, and I just ended up staying out here.
Nice. So born and raised Hawaii, then you came out to San Diego State for school, and you gained some weight, and you're like, man, you know, you started getting into MMA, you were a fan, and you were like, you know, I'm going to find a gym, do something I enjoy, and you know, the goal was to lose weight and get in shape.
Yes.
So how did you actually take that first step into getting a fight? You know, because I know there's a huge difference, you know, for those of you at home listening. You know, you can go to a gym and you can train, and maybe you just enjoy it, or you're learning self-defense, or it's just for, you know, all-around fitness. But there is a transitional phase for everybody who fights where you start competing. You know, there's the competition competitors, and there's the ones who come in and train and they just enjoy it. So how'd you take that step, and what did that mean for you? How'd you feel about doing that?
Well, it was really just Manolo. It was his suggestion hey, why don't you try a fight night? And I think Manolo has a knack for persuading people to do it, even if they don't want to. Like, he's very persistent. And so I was like, okay, I'll try one fight night. A fight night is just like a smoker at our gym. Just they pair you up with someone else from the gym, and you guys maybe do like 3 rounds, 1 minute rounds, you know. So I ended up doing one of those, and he was like, okay, let's do another one, and this time I'm gonna actually be coaching you and like telling you what to do.
Right. And how'd you do in your first one?
Oh, the first one I finished with an armbar in the first round.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so after that, my next one, he made me go all 3 rounds with the girl. Like, he was like, don't finish her, like, take her down, or like, stand up with her. And so I think after he saw that I could take direction and listen to him, then he's like, okay, I think you're ready to compete in the local like Explode show.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that sounds like fun. I'll just do like one of those, just so I can say like, yeah, I competed.
Yeah, and that was fucking XFS, fucking Explode Fight Series.
I know, right?
Out there on the Indian reservation, just in the fucking cut.
They were the shit though. They were like, I'm not even kidding. That is even, I mean, Belator, I love you guys, but seriously, Explode was my favorite promotion ever to fight for.
You know, it's funny as fuck. I watched that movie with the guy from King of Queens where he becomes a fighter and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's an older movie. It's an MMA movie. But he becomes a fighter and he needs it to make money, and he's a teacher, and he basically just gets his ass.
Warrior.
No, not Warrior. Not Warrior. It's another one. It's another one. It's a comedy, but I'll come up with the name later on. But there's a scene right where he's like backstage at like this like ghetto ass event, and they just have a tarp up, and he's like, "Are those fucking chickens?" And there's like chickens walking around, and I'm like, "Dude, that's Explode Fight Series right there. That's XFS. Like tarps in the back, and fighters are like." Oh, I'm next. All right, I'm gonna go smoke this cigarette real quick, and like
it was the best because it was so raw and gritty, and like it was the shit. I would literally go park my car right by the fence so I could just watch from outside. I didn't even need to go in, and I would have a trunk. My trunk like doesn't close. It never locks, and so I would just have a cooler in my trunk, and we would just sit out there in the parking lot watching the fights and drinking, playing with the dogs, and then like we'd freak out because like the security would start coming over, but it's like tribal security, they don't give a shit. But no, honestly, Explode was like my favorite thing to do. If there was an Explode fight, I was like, I'm there. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I used to go watch a lot of my friends when I first started doing MMA. A lot of them fought over there and stuff. I don't know if you remember. I talked about him before, but Marty Davila. Yeah, Marty. I used to go watch all his fights out there, and it's definitely an experience. But I mean, that's what it takes. You know, everybody.
Exactly.
A lot of the talent coming out of San Diego in the last probably 8 years. In the last 8 years, probably definitely started at Explode.
They've all gone through the Explode circuit.
For sure. So you started at Explode, and you said, you know what, I'll take this opportunity, and I'll do a fight there.
Yeah, pretty much. And the great thing about Explode too is that I actually got cage time experience. Like, it may not have been, people think it's not the most legitimate promotion, the matchups and such, but you need that as an amateur. You need that cage experience. You need the cage time. And so, yeah, my opponent might have dropped out the day of, but then they would always be able to find another replacement, which as an amateur, I think is totally fine, like, whatever's. I fought a couple of times, well, I was supposed to fight a couple times for actual commission sanction events, like under camo, and it would be impossible to find a replacement, because of all the red tape you have to go through and everything. So there was like several shows that my fight was dropped because it was commissioned. So that's why I really appreciated Explode. But yeah, I ended up doing a couple fights for Explode, and our rule at San Diego Combat Academy with our Team Hurricane Awesome, is that you have to win 6 amateur fights in order to turn pro. So I ended up having like 9 amateur fights or something like that, just because. And one of them was actually at a strip club too, against a stripper in a bikini. But Manolo counts that as a fight. I was like, well, no, it was inside a cage. Like, we punched each other. Sure, it counts as a fight.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and then Manolo's like, all right, I think it's time you should probably just turn pro and get paid.
So, there was actually a controversial video that you were a part of from Explode.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this video because I watched it and I'm like, San Diego Combat Academy. I'm like, well, I know some guys that train down there. And this was before I met you, and that video, like, it blew up. It grew some, like, momentum. You know what I mean? Was it on any TV shows or anything like that you know of?
It was, one, it was on ESPN, the highly questionable segment.
Yeah.
It was on that. It was funny. My buddy, Snapchatted it to me. He was sitting at a bar watching. He's like, oh my gosh, you're on ESPN. And then it was on a bunch of websites. It was on, not the actual show, but Tosh.0's website, Chong, The Chai. It was like all over.
That's
I made
hilarious.
it on E-Bombs World.
Yeah, on E-Bombs
That's
World?
cool. Yeah.
Did you make it on World Star?
Yes,
it on World Star?
it was on World
It was
Star.
on World Star. Hell yeah, I got a World Star hip hop person on here. Hey, so those of you at home listening, if you haven't seen what we're talking about, or you have no idea, and those of you on Facebook, so the video that we're talking about, if you just go on YouTube and you look up, it's like Soccer Mom Gets Knocked Out, something like that. And basically it's this girl right here, it's Ilima Macfarlane, right? And as soon as it starts, they come out and they start scribing. And from the beginning, when you're looking at it, you're like, there's no way that these two are on the same level. You can even tell by the way she was dressed. And you just hit her, you just dropped her. And she tried to come back up like on her hands and knees, and Lima just like, boom! And she just face planted. And if you watch it, it looks like it's not even real. It looks like a scene from a movie, like a clip from a movie where they faked it. But Soccer Mom Fights Pro MMA Fighter. That's what it is. Yeah, thanks Manolo. Manolo's on here. But look it up, check it out, and you gained some momentum with that, and that was pretty cool. So after you had a couple fights, you did decide to go pro. And so talk to me about that. Where was your first pro fight, and how did you end up getting hooked up with Belator?
So the Soccer Mom fight was actually my pro debut. And it went, the funny thing though, so that Soccer Mom fight was in January of 2015, I believe. And probably within the next 2-3 months, Belator had contacted us. And, they're really good friends with Manolo. And so they contacted us, asked if I was interested. And then it went viral, the Soccer Mom fight. So I was actually, people think that I got discovered because of the video by Belator, but we were actually communicating with them before it went viral.
Right.
And, it was a funny story, like, why it went viral.
Yeah. What was the whole deal with that? How did that girl even end up fighting you? Because you guys look it looks like such a mismatch.
Yeah, well, she actually fought twice before for Explode against 2 other pro fighters, against what's her name? Lopez, and then Laura Salazar. And both of those girls actually fought for Invicta and some other big promotion. But so I remember seeing her fight them back a couple months back. And so when they were like, okay, you're going to fight that girl, I'm like, okay, I've seen her fight. Like, she's super scrappy. Might not be the most technical fighter, but I remember she was like pushing them against the cage the whole time. So I was like, all right, whatever's. And then when she walked out, I was like, oh shit, this bitch is big. So, but if you watch the video too, she was the aggressor. She was the one that came forward, and she kept coming forward. So that's why it was annoying when people were like, I can't believe you did it. I'm like, dude, the girl's trying to rip my head off.
Yeah,
like, what am I supposed to do?
She was coming after you for sure.
Do I not punch her? What the fuck? So that's how that happened.
So you were actually scheduled to fight her, or was it like a last minute film?
No, I was scheduled to fight her.
You were scheduled to fight her, and you were like, all right, cool. And then when you started, like, oh, she's a lot bigger than you expected.
Yeah, but I think I was scheduled to fight her like the week up. Like, it wasn't like something I was preparing for like months in advance. It was like the week before my pro debut. They were like, okay, we found an opponent. It's going to be this, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was one of those.
So that's pretty interesting. So then, Belator had contacted you after that fight, but before that video actually went viral.
Yes.
Right. And then they said that they were interested in having you on. Like, I know a lot of people are curious, how that whole process is. When you do get the phone call, like, how does that whole thing work?
Yeah, well, basically, they go through Manolo first. I didn't have Manolo was basically my manager. He's acting as my manager. So, yeah, they'll contact Manolo, and then we'll talk about it, see how I feel. But it's been so easy for me, I guess, because I do trust Manolo and Bill and everyone at the gym, like, wholeheartedly. I would trust them with anything. So whatever they thought was good for me, I was like, yeah, let's do it, So they've never... We are super honest with each other. We have open communication all the time. So, I owe everything to Manolo them, because they're the ones that basically handled my career and, decided which fights were good for me, which ones we should do. The whole process was very stress-free for me.
Right.
I'm like, Manolo, you can take care of it.
Yeah.
Whatever you think I'm ready for, let's do it.
Right.
So.
And you know, I've had a lot of fighters on, and the big thing is to remember is as a fighter, you never really turn anything down. You know, it's up to your team, your coaches, your managers, you know, to make that call. As a fighter, you should be ready to fight anytime. And, you know, cool, yeah, let's do it. If you think this is good for me, then we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is totally true because we turned one fight down, and that was, it was fun. Well, it was a 2-week notice fight, and it was for Belator. And when Manolo offered it to me, I was like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, let's fucking do this. I'm going to fight. And he's like, Ilima. Like, this is actually right after a very shitty breakup that I had, and I was all crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Ilima, we love you, but you're not really in the right state of mind right now. And I'm like, I need this fight. Let me fight. They're like, no, we're not going to take it because you're insane right now. And so it's just, you know, shit like that.
Right.
I'm like, okay, yes, you guys are right.
Yeah, you were ready to get after it.
Yeah, I was so ready. But yeah, I probably would have got my ass kicked. So thank you.
Probably not. Because right now in Bellator, you're undefeated in Bellator so far, right?
Yeah.
How many fights have you had in Bellator?
I've had 3.
So you're 3-0 in Bellator, and overall, is your pro record? What is it?
4-0.
So you're 4-0 as a pro and 3-0 in Bellator, and you have this fight coming up in 2 weeks. And I know you're training hard. I follow you on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. And I see you at the gym and stuff. So talk to me a little bit about the mindset that, you know, you get into before you actually go out there and compete, and how that plays a role in what you do.
Yeah. Well, I actually think I'm a little different from most fighters in the sense that, you know, a lot of them have that mindset like, I'm unstoppable. I'm going to go out and, like, just tear shit up.
Right.
But I literally go into all of my fights thinking like, I'm gonna get knocked out in the first round. So that's like, be prepared for that. Like I'm nervous as fuck before all my fights, and I always say, like, I joke around like, yeah, the reason I tell myself that I'm gonna get knocked out is because like I prepare for the worst, but I hope for the best. Like I have very low expectations but high hopes.
Right.
And I also go into my fights, every fight, with an open heart, because I feel like you really do learn a lot from defeats more than your wins.
Yeah.
And so, I'm always open. Of course, I don't want to lose. Like, I want to keep winning. But if I were to lose, then I always say it's going to teach me a lot about myself. Like, how I react to that loss is going to teach me a lot. Like, is this something I really want to do? Or is this something I'm kind of like, oh, it's still a hobby of mine.
Yeah.
So, that's my mentality going into fights.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, I go through, like, my crazy emotional stages. Like,
right.
I'm going to run through this girl, and then, like, oh, my God, I'm going to die. It's just, like...
It's up and down. It's so hot and cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's good, though. You know, it's real interesting talking to people and hearing the different perspectives. And I know you're 2 weeks out, and I know, you know, it's like you said, you know, you're getting to that place where your head's kind of all over the place, you know, with the uncertainty and the nerves. But when you get in there, you fucking dominate every time. You know, I've watched all your fights. The last fight, Manolo was in the hospital during your fight, and he wasn't able to corner you, and that was real tough. And I know it was real emotional for you, and you had that girl's back, and you were just squeezing and you were able to get the tap, and you just lost it, you know. And you could really see the emotion in your face at the time. And I didn't know what was going on because I knew you had your fight, and I think I was in Sacramento at the time, and I saw Manolo was in the hospital, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And you know, how did that play a role in your last fight? And you know, what was going through your head when you did get the W? You know?
Yeah. Well, it was like, okay, at first, when he first got admitted to the hospital, it was like literally our first day that we got out to St. Louis. And it was like, okay, you know, he just needs to get different antibiotics. Like, he'll be okay. You know, it'll just be like a one-day thing. But then it, like, progressively started getting worse, and it started getting scarier. And what kind of freaked me out, too, was, like, seeing when my other trainer, Bill, then came out, then I could kind of see that they were a little panicked as well. And, like, we went and visited Manolo, I think, like, the day before weigh-ins. And I kind of saw him, and I was like, oh, shit, like, he looks bad. Like, he looks like shit right now. Yeah. And then that's kind of when it sunk in. I was like, fuck, this is kind of serious. Like, he might actually die. This is a really
Yeah,
serious
it's the real
problem.
deal. It's
Yeah.
the real deal.
And
What was, do you know
he
what
had, so basically it started as a, like, bacterial infection, but the bacteria got into his blood. And so that's why, like, there were so many different doctors and specialists on the case because they couldn't figure out, like, what the fuck was wrong. And none of his symptoms were responding to the antibiotics they're giving him.
Yeah.
So finally they figured it out, but he had to get, like, a tube inserted into his heart and for the medicine. But, it basically turned to sepsis or septis, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is serious.
Right.
It's like, fatal.
Yeah, it's a serious thing.
Yeah. And, so, it was pretty emotional, and then I thought about it, and I was like, this is literally the first fight that he hasn't been physically in my corner.
Yeah.
Every single other fight before that, he was there. So I'm like, okay, this is fucking crazy. Oh my gosh, what's gonna... But my corners were awesome. Bill and Hoop, they were amazing. They kept me calm the whole time. But I remember, like, posting on my Instagram before I went out, and I was like, all right, Manolo, like, this fight is for you. And so, that's why I was so emotional.
Yeah.
When I won, I was like, fuck, Manolo. If you guys watch the, so funny, the replay, I'm like, that's for you. And so it was joke. I'm like, dude, he's like, oh, that was such a nice dedication. I was like, yeah, but it doesn't mean anything because you got better.
Yeah.
Like, if you died, then
if you died, it would have been so much better. They could have made a movie about me.
Yeah.
Why did you make at least?
Better.
Damn. Did you flatline or anything? What a fucking selfish bastard.
Yeah. Like,
good job, Manolo. What the fuck, coach? It's crazy, and just watching it and seeing how you were able to work and put the work in, it's crazy. And then the fight before that, you were just like bombing on this chick. You're just like just bombing on her, just that overhand right, just overhand. It's crazy. Like, it's really cool being a part of the team and training with you and stuff like that, and seeing you and even hanging out with you. I've hung out with you a couple times, and just knowing you, and I watch you fight, and I'm watching you on TV, I feel it, I feel like the emotion. I feel like, damn, I helped out a little bit here, I know her mind's in the right place, and it's really, really neat to see. Where do you see, like, what is your overall goal, right? So what do you want out of life? Do you like Belator? Are you looking to, like, stay there forever? Are you looking to fight forever? Like, what's your overall goal?
Yeah, well, I have always, I kind of had given myself the time frame, like, I want to fight till I'm 30. So right now I'm 26, and I think that's, like, a pretty good time frame or, like, window, because by 30 I kind of want to start having a family, start having kids and everything. Right. But I definitely see myself practicing forever, whether it's jiu-jitsu or just something, but I don't see myself fighting for that long, just because the toll it takes on your body and everything, and even your emotional and mental state and everything. So I said I would give myself to 30, and but as far as promotion-wise, like, I love Belator. Right. They're awesome. I love the whole staff. Everybody behind the scenes is amazing. They were the ones that took a chance. They took a risk on me. It's like they could have been totally ridiculed for signing the soccer mom killer or whatever. Like, doesn't have any skill at all. But they were the ones that wanted to take the risk. And so they believed in me. They've helped build me up. They haven't fed me to the wolves, So I love them for that. And I think that they treat their fighters amazing. I don't have experience with other promotions. I just, from what I've heard, from my other friends and other fighters I know. But Belator is awesome to their fighters. Right. So I have no desire to go anywhere else at the moment. Like, I'm totally happy with them. Yeah.
So the other day at UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden, we had our teammate out there, Liz Carmucci, and she brought home the W. Shout out to Liz. That was an out fight. It was incredible. But I saw you there. You know what I mean? You walked out with her. What was that like for you? What did you notice difference-wise? Was there much of a difference in the promotion? Obviously, it was the first time MMA's ever been in New York City, so it was, I'm sure they had like all the nuts and bolts, and it was a huge spectacle. But what did you notice difference-wise from Bellator and UFC? What would you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely run pretty similarly. I mean, the differences was like the corners. We had those Reebok kits, right? So it's like when we go in, the corners had to go and check in and get fitted and all that shit. Whereas like Bellator, we don't do that. So that was a little different. And then actually, this was kind of a big one. They had food for the corners for like the corners and the fighters afterwards. So I'm like, oh shit, like this is cool. Like they had lasagna and salad, and so I thought that was really cool. And I'm like, shit, Bellator might want to
step their game.
They even had like an ice cream bar. So I was like,
shit.
Oh, okay. But honestly, like that was the only thing I was like, yeah, Bellator should probably get some food for us afterwards.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was run pretty much the same. Very professional, everything.
Yeah.
It was neat.
Cool.
It was a really fucking awesome experience, and I'm so stoked that like Liz let me come out and be there out in her corner, and it was awesome. And honestly, I actually had to hit up Manolo before I went to New York, and I was like, hey, would it be douchey of me if I brought like Bellator gear out there? Because, I don't know if like I should take pictures out there with my Bellator gear on or what the fuck. And then he's like, no, like, I think you'll be okay. And I think they'll understand, your teammate is in the UFC. Like, it's not like you only train with people in Bellator. That's impossible. So,
right.
So, yeah, I was like, okay, I just didn't know. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. Or
right.
whatever.
You didn't want to piss anybody off or anything like that and look like an asshole. Yeah. That's cool though. Yeah, I noticed you were real happy, and I can tell from your posts, and then like actually seeing you on there, you can hear here and there like you're doing your little call in shit, your little fucking Hawaii call in. Yeah. And then Liz actually gave you a shout out on her interview and stuff, so that was really cool. Did anybody say anything to you? Did anybody like notice you or know who you are? Did anybody like say anything?
Yeah, it was really cool too. People were asking to take pictures with me, and I was stoked. I was like, oh fuck yeah, they totally know. And they go, yeah, you did great tonight. Like your fight against Misha was awesome. And I was like, oh fuck, they think I'm Raquel Pennington. I was like, okay, yeah, thanks, all right, yeah, you can take a picture with me, sure. So nobody really recognized like the Ilimanator, but they all. I was like, okay, that's cool. I guess I look swole enough to like be Raquel Pennington. Yeah. Sure.
That's hilarious. Dumb fans, huh? They probably put that shit up. People are like, bro, who the fuck is that? They're like putting their pictures up. Like, she totally went with it. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so being able to a big struggle that I noticed, especially with martial artists, probably the biggest obstacle to overcome is balancing normal life with training. Like right now, I'm sure you're collecting a lot more money than the average fighter doing this, and you're on the climb and you're doing great. And but in the beginning, how did you find time to balance all that? Like what was the job that you had or you were doing, and balancing that with fighting, and how did that play a role in your life?
Well, when I first started at the gym, I was actually in school. I was in graduate school, and so that was kind of crazy because I was like, graduate school was really shitty, and I was taking full load, and and I was also working full time. I was waiting tables. I waited tables all throughout college, so I had to balance school, work, training, which Manolo made me feel guilty about all the goddamn time. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to graduate. Like, I swear I'll be in the gym more. Just like, let me graduate. And so that was probably the hardest time was balancing that. And so that's why I was only like doing the amateur fights. I wasn't ready to turn pro yet. And then once I turned pro, then I actually took a break from working. I took a break from the restaurant just so I could focus for my Bellator debut. And that was nice. And actually that one was easy because I had a boyfriend at the time who like claimed he would support me. So he's like, I don't want you to work. I want you to work. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it ended up like me fucking supporting him. So I'm like, what the fuck? Can you get out of here?
How did this happen?
Yeah, right? Like it's a long story. But anyway, so that ended. And so then I went back to work after my first fight. I went back to work, waiting tables, but it's still a super flexible job. It's fine. And so, yeah, it wasn't a hard time working. But then after my last fight, like I worked all the way up through my last fight, the one against Rebecca Ruth, where Manola almost died. But when I came back to work from that, like I just realized how much I hated waiting tables now. Like I was just miserable. And all I could think about was, I just want to be in the gym training.
Yeah.
And so that's when I decided, like, I told work, okay, guys, sorry, I'm going to take off. And, like, if I win my next fight, I'm talking about this upcoming one, 2 weeks. I told him, like, if I win, then I'm not coming back because then my win bonus will be able to, like, support me. But if I lose, then, yeah, I'll probably have to come back after, like, a couple weeks. But, yeah, honestly, it's easy for me to balance just because I'm taking care of myself. And I freaking don't understand how my teammates do it or how any other fighter does it, supporting a family.
Right.
Like, not just a significant other, but like kids and actual families they have to support. And I'm just like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I am exhausted training. Like, and I'm not even doing anything. I'm not even working. I don't even need to like keep anyone company. I'm by myself. And so I'm like, how do people do this? Like, so you're asking the wrong person how to balance a normal life because like, I'm just chilling by myself.
Right. But you're still able to balance that. I mean, you know, you did graduate college, right? While you were training. Yeah. You got your bachelor's?
Oh, I got my bachelor's and then I joined the gym and then I was in grad and then I started. So
you were in grad school when you were training originally. So you were balancing work, school, and training, and you were still able to go pro at that point. You know, so that's incredible. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on, just because I know that you put the work in. You know, even though you feel like your struggle isn't as rough as a lot of people that you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, your struggle wasn't rough. Because fuck, there are people that can't even get up and go to school. You know what I mean? There are people that can't even do that. And that's the whole point of this podcast. You know, it's from nothing to something. It's talking to people that started from nothing and they're making their life something through hard work and dedication. And that's exactly what you're doing, you know. And it's important for people at home to hear these stories because a lot of them, they have fucking excuses. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there really is no excuse. You know what I mean? I mean, if you really have a dream or a goal, then chase it. You gave yourself a goal. I want to fight until I'm 30. You're 26. You're 3-0 for Belator. You're about to destroy your next opponent, and then the sky's the limit from there. You know what I mean? Like, you were just at the UFC 205 cornering, you know, one of the most historic fights in UFC history. You know, so that's incredible. That's incredible. That's awesome, and kudos to you for doing that. Yeah. You know, I want to. We got a bunch of comments on here.
Oh, cool.
Hold on. Let's see. Shane Crutchin. What's up, Shane?
So
he said, ask her about the name of her ears.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
my name. So I have Quato, which is my right ear. Quato is the
I'll
guy
just hold it up because we're going to look at this.
From Total Recall. This is Quato. And then this is Toad. Because Toad, like this one looks like, we call it testicular cancer, but it kind of looks like a mushroom.
So the left one's Toad and then the right one's Quattro.
Yeah, Quattro. So it's just cauliflower ear that I got during this camp. And I wrestled since I was in 3rd grade. Never got cauliflower. And then all of a sudden they just exploded.
How do you feel about that, being a girl? And, you know, do you think is that struggle with you, like meeting dudes and shit like that, or what?
Well, I mean, I was like, okay, Quato's not that bad. I actually think it's kind of a cute cauliflower, but Toad is like, it just looks like I have fucked up ears. Like, I'm born with it. Like, I have a cyst in my ear or something. But then I came to terms with it because, honestly, I'm in the middle of camp. I can't take off time to, like, heal them. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to have to embrace them. And probably, that means I'm going to have to marry a fighter or a jiu-jitsu guy because I'm going to have cauliflower ears for us.
Which let me ask. I mean, that can't be a bad thing because you're a badass, right? And how do you think you would do being in a relationship with a dude that, like, you can, like, destroy if you wanted to?
Well, I don't think I could. Okay, actually, it's funny. So, for everybody that doesn't know, well, now Danny's like happily taken and everything, but before he was on Bumble, and I actually helped him with his profile.
You helped me a lot.
I had like a 98% success rate. No, I'm serious. Like I help whenever I see one of my teammates or guy friends on Bumble. I'm like, dude, let me remake your profile. I'm gonna choose all your pictures. Trust me. You're gonna get more matches. Anyway, so
you were like, bro, all your pictures are of you mean and like training and shit.
Yeah,
girls don't want a dude like that.
Yeah. So I redid his profile, and then I think you were the one that told me, you're like, even though your profile is kind of intimidating to dudes. And I think because I had like a bunch of MMA and jiu-jitsu shit up, and I was like, oh fuck, maybe that's why I'm not getting matches. And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, fuck that. If a guy is intimidated by like me doing MMA, then like I don't want to match with that.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with him anyway.
Yeah, so I was like, no, I'm gonna keep this shit.
I'm in the Marine Corps, and there's a lot of female Marines, right? And I ask them all the time, like, hey, very rarely do you see a female Marine that's with a dude not in the Marine Corps? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or wasn't a Marine? Very rarely do you see that happen. So I'd imagine in MMA, it's very similar. It's got to be tough to be with dudes that... I mean, even being a Bellator fighter, even being with a dude that trains, there's got to be like, bro, you got to be at least a purple. You know what I mean? You got to be at least a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. You got to have one MMA fight.
That sounds like my requirement. Well, I mean, as you know, my last relationship was like an aspiring fighter, jiu-jitsu guy. And I actually like outranked him for a little while.
You did?
And it was funny because I always had not like a real rule, but I would always joke around with guys like, oh yeah, if I'm a higher rank than you, then like don't talk to me. but I ended up like dating this guy, and this was my first time dating a jiu-jitsu person or just someone in the field. Yeah, like I've dated athletes before, but they like had their completely different sports. Yeah. So this was my first time with someone in the community, and as you know, that ended very badly.
It was an experience for everybody in the team to be a part of, for sure.
So, and then it kind of made me realize too. Me and Manolo had to talk about everything. Like, what kind of dudes do I attract? And we're like, all right, we attract guys who think they're alpha. Like, I attract guys who think they're alpha, but then when they're with me, they realize that I'm way more alpha than them. And so it fucks them up. Like, go and do something that they think is going to be more alpha. As a result,
you are like maybe it's because I'm a Marine, but like I get along with you so much, But dude, to the average dude, you are very fucking intimidating.
Yeah,
you are.
As fuck.
Yeah, you are. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. You definitely have to find yourself like fucking a George of the Jungle.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
what you're gonna have to find. Somebody's gonna just guerrilla throw you around and just let you know what the fuck is up.
Yeah,
you know
I either have to be with like a super, super, super legit alpha. So yeah, like someone who's like a fucking pro fighter, like black belt, like some shit that's like way more alpha than me, or. One of my best friends was like, or I think I could just do with like a stoner who just doesn't give a fuck. Like,
no, I don't think you'd like that. I can even see you with maybe not even a guy that's a fighter, but maybe like a dude that's like just like alpha in a different way, like a mental alpha. Like he's a CEO of a company and he's like on some fucking what's that book that all those girls fucking read, that fucking
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, like a 50 Shades of Grey dude. You know what I mean? Like somebody like that. Like somebody that's just gonna, you know what I mean? Just he's gonna dominate you all the time regardless. It doesn't matter.
I either have to be with someone who's like fully committed to the sport that like I'm in, or somebody who just has his completely own thing.
And that's always been my theory with relationships is it doesn't matter what you do, but you need to be with somebody that's matching your level of success, right? So like if, you're a pro MMA fighter, then you need to be with somebody that's like, you know what I mean? Like working in a corporation and killing it and is at the pro level in that thing that they like to do. You know what I mean? For sure. Because, I mean, a lot of it is really ego, right? As a dude, dudes want to be in control. That's just what we do. Like, naturally, a dude is going to fucking, the caveman inside of us we just want to fucking club you over the head and drag you into our cave, and now you're mine. You know what I mean? Like that's the caveman inside of every dude, you know. And now there are girls that will fucking club you upside the head real quick, you know. So you have to find that balance, you know. A dude can't really lose his alpha, but you know, you don't have to be a hardcore fighter and beat the fuck out of people. I don't think. I think you can still be there mentally, professionally, and still make it happen. So, how did because I know you brought up relationships a couple times since we've talked. How did relationships play a role? Did you notice that the relationships hurt you sometimes, or did they help you, or was it one of those things where it didn't really matter?
No, they definitely play like a really huge role, and it sucks that they do, because you want to be that fighter that's like, oh yeah, fuck that, I don't need anybody, whatever. But I actually have come to find that I really fucking do need someone there through my camp.
Right.
Like, it was so crazy. I broke down one day at camp, and I did not fucking cry at the gym at all. But this camp, one day I just, even Liz was like, what the fuck, dude? And I was like, I gotta go, guys, I gotta go. And then I ran to the bathroom, I was all crying, and we were trying to figure it out, Ilima, what the fuck, what's going on? And then Gina, one of my teammates, was like, Ilima, it's because you haven't had sex. I was like, oh my God, you're right. This is the first. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you guys listen to this. Actually, you're probably not listening. But
hold on. Your parents look at you like, do they think you're like this princess good girl? Do they know your dark? They know your dark side. Right. But that's how I am too. My mom knows I'm a prick. But I apologize every time I say something prickish. Which, sorry, Mom, about the caveman thing. I'm not abusive to girls. I just handle my shit as a man. You know what I mean? Go ahead, keep talking.
Oh no, so pretty much this is the first camp that I've had where I didn't have a boyfriend or someone I was seeing at the time, and so I was like, dude, you're totally right. So the next day, me and her literally go and shop for vibrators down in Hustler, downtown.
Hell yeah! Oh shit! Hey, that's gotta be expensive, dude. You don't.
It was, dude.
Why didn't you just go to you know what I mean? There's an adult store next to the MCRD in San Diego. It's probably way cheaper than.
Oh, I dropped $200.
On one vibrator?
Yeah, it was a top.
Oh my God!
I don't know if I'm ready to drop $200 for this shit. And I was holding another in my hand.
Hoop's gonna be pissed that we're talking about this right now.
I know. He's like, you don't want to see my collection?
He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing right now? He's flipping out in his house, But go ahead, no, get fun.
No, it's fine. It's fine because I already posted it on my Instagram.
Oh, nice. All right. Is it one of those things that it's got the bead, the fucking beads in there, and it spins and shit?
Fuck, what's it called? It was it's sleek looking, but so nice. It's really pretty.
Oh, no shit. All right,
it's
pretty
gold
vibrator.
and shit.
Oh, damn, that's fucking classy. It's classy as fuck.
But I had an $80 one and then the $200 one, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go for the 80 one. And Gina's like, go big or go home. I was like, fuck. All right, I gotta win my fight now. I'm totally fucking broke right now. This better win me my fight. So, so anyway, back to why the fuck are we talking about vibrators? Okay, relationships, if it affects
Hold on, but before we leave that topic, you have to give it a nickname and then give it a shout out. You know what I mean? Like name him Tom and be shout out to Tom, without you this couldn't have been possible, and totally ignore the fact that you just said that and keep going with your interview. But go on, come up with some sort of nickname and then give it a shout out at your fight. You got to.
I feel it's a girl though because it's so pretty.
Oh,
it's shiny.
I like it. What's a pretty shiny? We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something.
Okay. And it can't be anybody I already know.
Yeah. Because that'll be weird. Yeah. They'll be like, dude, did you give me a shout out? I didn't even talk to your entire camp.
So
relationships. All right, sorry.
It ended up being it really does affect me. Like I said before, I had to turn down that one fight because I was all fucked up from the shitty, horrible breakup, but just having somebody there to support you through, and to keep me relatively calm and not super crazy out of my mind is super important. I think, well, at least in my experience, it's very important to me. So I think. And relationships can totally make or break somebody in this game because, you have so much going on. That's why I love seeing, I don't know if you guys saw, there was a little video they did on Michael Chandler, who's fighting tonight against Benson Henderson for Bellator.
Right.
He's defending his title. And they did a thing on his wife and him and their relationship and how supportive she was. And I was like, fuck, dude. Like, yeah, it really does mean a lot when you have a supportive person there in your corner, like, helping you through camp and shit.
I believe in 100%. You know, I am one of those people that, like, I need something. You know, when I was single, I, like, wasn't training and I was just, like, walling out all the time. I was, like, going way up north and, like, Orange County and, like, hanging out with people. And I'm way better in a relationship, unless the relationship is shitty, which I've had before. And then it takes away from me as much as being single. So, you know, it is nice when you do find somebody and you can make it work. But either way, you know, time doesn't stop, the training doesn't stop. You got to figure it out. So,
it's a bonus when they can train with you.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know, I did the same exact thing you did, actually. Now that I think about it. Somebody was like, dude, you're bugging. Like, where you been? You haven't been training. I was like, fuck, you're right. And I went and I bought a goddamn pocket pussy. I was like, hell yeah, here we go. Now we can focus on training. You know? So I did the same thing. I mean, it was like a fleshlight. It wasn't really pretty or anything. And I ended up having to throw that fucking thing out. I fucking destroyed it. Anyways, let's get back to the comments. We'll go back to the comments and see what people want to know. Shout out to Juan Valdez. Juan, yes, I did start my own podcast. This is episode 11 with Ilima Macfarlane. Check it out. It's www.spreaker.com, like speaker, but with an R, spreaker.com/user/from nothing to something. Just message me and I can send you the link. I have a page on Facebook too, so check it out, From Nothing to Something. He did. It's legit. Thanks a lot, Shane. Again, I appreciate that. Yes, the camera is sitting on my bed. I know it's weird, but I got to work with what I got. I know. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. We got a couple questions up here. Damn it. Is there an easier way to do this? Is that going to work? Nope. Let me see. My bad.
No,
I'm trying to look at everything, trying to get all this shit up.
Oh, there's plenty of comments.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's
Holy
like a whole shitload. People are like, are you on your bed? I think I missed it. But had she practiced BJJ before getting into MMA? All right, so there goes a question for you. Juan Valdez, he wants to know, did you practice MMA or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before getting into MMA, or what did you do?
What was my background?
Yeah.
Well, my background was in wrestling. Like I said, I wrestled since 3rd grade back home in Hawaii. I was on the high school wrestling team. But in Hawaii, we have our own girls' league. So whenever I tell people I wrestled in high school, they're like, oh shit, that's badass. I'm like, actually, I would only compete against girls because we had our own league going on. But that was my background. Otherwise, never even threw a punch before, didn't know any submission, nothing. I never even got into a fight before in my whole life.
Right.
Yeah. So that was, and then the first class that I did was an MMA class with Manolo. So
you just jumped straight into it. First class you did was MMA.
Yeah.
So there you go, Juan Valdez. The first class she did was MMA. Here Comes the Boom was that movie I was talking about.
Oh,
Here Comes the Boom. Good looking out, Shane, for letting us know. Manolo joined. We've seen him already. Manolo, what's up, baby? Oh, Hoop's listening. He said,
so they tell when people are like tuned in.
Yeah, it shows when like people join and stuff like that.
Got it.
Let's see what else. Gonna go look. Oh, Juan went to go look for that soccer mom fight. Jacob Lee. Ronnie says that he's your biggest fan.
Oh, thanks, Ron Vaughn. Heart, please.
That's funny. Let's see what else. Sorry, guys. Those of you listening at home, normally you can actually ask questions if you're following the link that's live, and I can pull it up on the computer. It's a lot easier, but people are just fucking lazy, so they send questions on here on the live feed on Facebook, so we're doing what we can to answer them. Juan Valdez watched your video. He said, fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. And we had a bunch of people tuning in. Let me see. Manolo Hernandez laughing, talking about you like you're dead, Manolo. Russ Edwards. Russ, yeah, we are talking about it like he's dead, you know. If only something would have happened, then Lima could have been a lot bigger than she already is.
Yeah,
so now she has to work fucking harder. It's too bad.
That really could have been made into a movie.
It could have. All right, question. So Russ Edwards has a question. Are you still accepting applications for a man, a booty call, or Cuddy Buddy?
At the moment, no.
No, not at the moment.
Because I have my vibrator, that's why I'm
Right. But you know what? Give it a couple months, guys. I'm sure, Russ, you got a couple friends that are curious and shit like that.
Dude, I can't date a big black guy.
Yeah.
Russ, I don't want to know any of your friends, Russ.
Yeah. Hey, I had Russ on. Actually, Russ admitted he doesn't really... He prefers white women, you know what I mean?
Well,
he's like, it's a win-win, you know what I mean?
What the fuck? Yeah. I feel sorry for that poor girl.
That's hilarious. Somebody said, typical black guy, damn it. He said, pay attention, Russ. Oh, man, a bunch of people. Oh, man, my aunt logged in to listen. I feel bad. Sorry. Yeah, Lucy, if you're listening, I love you.
Who said that?
Oh, no, my aunt. Sure,
your
aunt. Yeah, my aunt logged in to listen, yeah. Sorry about that. Shout out to Justin Governal. Do you know Justin Governal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, what's up? And he said he wants to have my child. I appreciate it, Justin. A lot of love, bro. A lot of love. Let's see. I wish there was a better way that I can see the fucking comments. My brother said $200 for a vibrator. Holy shit. He said, was it Bluetooth?
No, but it's actually one of those where one of the settings is like it will... You don't need to like press the buttons. You can just like push it harder down.
Oh, that's really dead.
So it'll like increase the vibe, like frequency or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's pretty dope. $200. So it wasn't
blue. Brought it.
It wasn't. Yeah, you should have. We could have turned it on and just put it at the table and just put more pressure on it, and we would have heard it. She said, Lacey said, I effing love you guys, and Russ said, what the fuck? Lacey is dope. She's dope as fuck. All right, so there's a couple more questions I have. When I say a couple, I mean really two ones I wanted to talk about. The first one was you got yourself 2 tabs on your purple belt.
Oh,
from Carlos Valente, right?
Oh, yeah. I love this.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because I was standing there, and I can read energy pretty well. And, Boogie, he did not seem too happy. What happened there? What was going on? Let the people at home know what happened.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Okay.
So basically, my head coach Manolo was getting promoted. He was getting his 4th stripe on his black belt, so like 4th degree black belt, from his master Carlos Valente, who is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Manolo is considered a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner with the gi and everything.
Right.
But our school at 10th Plant San Diego is strictly no gi. Boogie seriously fucking hates gi.
Right. And real quick, those of you that aren't familiar with what we're talking about, gi is the kimono that we wear. It's the traditional wear that you see like the karate people wearing and shit like that. Jiu-Jitsu is straight grappling. And it originated with that kimono that we call the gi and the belt around. And then there's no gi, which is no kimono. And it's a style of jiu-jitsu that was created to be a lot more practical in a street fight in MMA. Because obviously in MMA, you can't wear a gi in the cage anymore. So there's gi jiu-jitsu and then there's no gi jiu-jitsu. Our school is no gi jiu-jitsu specifically. And our MMA coach is a black belt in the gi. So he got his 4th tab on his black belt with the gi on from Carlos Valente. So he came and gave him, his tab with his gi. And our coach Boogie, he's not a fan of gi jiu-jitsu at all. So go ahead, keep telling the story.
So Boogie is our head jiu-jitsu instructor. And yeah, he's not a fan of the gi. And but anyway, like Manolo had told everyone, hey, if you guys have a gi, wear it, just because like this is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu promotion. So I had just received a gi in the mail from like literally like 2 weeks before. Even though I do not practice gi, I've probably tried the gi on like twice, but I don't do it at all. But I received it in the mail from Platinum Jiu-Jitsu for back home in Hawaii. They just wanted to send me some free shit, so I was like, all right, yeah, cool. So I brought it to the gym, and I wore it with my belt. And Carlos gives his speech. He gives Manolo his 4th stripe. And then he turns to all of us, and there's probably like 10 or 12 of us in the gi just standing up there. And he's like, Ilima, come over here. I was like, what? And so he like calls me over, so I'm like, okay, cool. Like I thought he just wanted to take a picture or something. And then he's like, you get 1 stripe. I was like, what the fuck? Why? And so like he gives me a stripe, and he's like, actually, 1 more. Or whatever. Portuguese to me. And then so he gives me 2, and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, is everybody getting a stripe up here that's wearing a gi? Like, what the fuck? And then so he like pulls me to stand next to him, Manolo and Boogie, and he like holds up his hand like a fist. And I'm a fucking idiot, and I think that he's holding up a 0 for like 10th planet. Yeah. So then I hold up a 1. Yeah, 10th planet. And he's like, speech. Like, this is the microphone. I was like, oh, fuck. So I'm just like, thank you. This, like, I don't know, this isn't expected, but thank you so much. Like, and he's like, what about your coach? I was like, oh yeah, Manolo. Like, congratulations. It was just super, actually it was really fucking awkward. Right. But it was really funny, because yeah, you could totally tell that Boogie was fucking pissed first of all.
Boogie was like, and standing there and watching it, you know, you can see Boogie had his hands behind his back. He's like looking at the ground. You can see he's like clenching his teeth. He's like, his eyes are like looking away from everybody, and he's just really bothered. Yeah. You know, and I mean, it's understandable, you know, because I'm sure in his mind he's like, I would like to be acknowledged. I would have liked to have known that this was going to happen.
I'm his student. Yeah, right. I've never trained under Carlos, but like I've known Carlos my entire career, you know, because I knew him as Manolo's trainer, and so like I totally, absolutely love Carlos and everything. But yeah, like I'm Boogie's student, and I don't practice the gi, so that's why I think everybody was just more confused than anything. Like just what the fuck's going on? And so it was just really weird. But then afterwards, like we totally joked about. We're like, we think it's hilarious now. And now I'm like, whenever we line up, I'm like, actually, guys, I'm the highest ranked purple belt because I have 2 stripes, so you're gonna have to like move down. So yeah, it ended up being really funny, and it's a good story. I love Carlos. I love all of them.
Yeah, shout out to Carlos Valente. You know, he was telling his story, and he said some stuff that I didn't really know, but he was one of the first dudes that brought, you know, jiu-jitsu to San Diego. He's like an original old school dude. He's a coral belt. Coral belt is higher than black belt. It's like, looks like a checkerboard, red and black. So, you know, I'm sure that's why he felt perfectly fine doing that, because he knows that, hey, when you're the man, that's what it is, you know?
Yeah, and I'm like stoked. I'm like, nobody can ever take that away from me. Like, I got fucking 2 stripes from Carlos Valente, bitches. So, yeah, and that's, like, and so we, like, I actually, the times that I did do gi was actually really fun, and it was a cool change up from training no gi. And so I was like, okay, maybe after my fight I'll start doing some gi, because we cross trained with Alianse Jiu-Jitsu with Johnny and Faria. We're getting ready for Worlds. Alliance. It's called Alliance, right?
Alliance?
No, Alliance. Hey, that's a Brazilian way to say. So, but we would cross train with them before Worlds, and so they were like, you should come try to do the gi. I'm like, okay. But I'm gonna have to get Boogie's blessing first. But sure. So I think it's definitely something that I would dabble in here and there. Did
Coach Boogie say anything to you about that after? Did you guys have some words?
He gave me so much shit.
What did he say?
So I'm like, dude, I didn't know it was gonna happen. What the fuck? Like, it's not my fault.
That's hilarious.
He was fine.
Jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu, and you know, we love fucking period. Whether it's gi or no gi. I mean, a martial artist is a martial artist. That's dope that you got your 2 tabs. Congratulations on that. At the end of the day, everybody who practices jiu-jitsu, whether you do gi or no gi, you motherfuckers know damn well that a belt doesn't mean shit. I've seen blue belts tap out purple belts. I've seen purple belts tap out black belts. You know, it's really a way to, you know, just say, this is the level of training that I'm at. That's really just, if you could say, what belts are you at? It doesn't mean that you're better than anybody. You know, there are plenty of people who go in and they're not black belts and they destroy black belts all the time. So, but congratulations to you. That's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you on Belator and competing again. And one more thing I got for you. One more thing. recently, right, there was a little bit of controversy built up with you and this girl, Anastasia.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So, what was that about? You know, I know, you got the hots for her or what? What's going on there, Ilima?
You know, it kind of started as a joke, to be honest. Like, the PR guys at Belator, they actually honestly asked me, like, oh, like, who would you want next? And I'm like, actually, I want Anastasia because there's a lot of hype around her. I think it'll be a really good fight to build up and everything. It'll have a lot of viewers. And, in the end, like, make a lot of money. So I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want Anastasia. Like, everybody knows who that is. And so they're like, okay, cool. Like, we're gonna try and build that up a little bit.
Yeah.
But then they didn't ask. So after my fight and everything, they were kind of waiting for Jimmy, the commentator, to ask me, like, who would I want next, but he didn't, because of the whole Manola thing. Instead, he asked me about the Manola thing, which was fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And then even in the press conference, nobody asked me, like, oh, what do you see in store for you next? So then Bellator was like, the PR guys were like, okay, we're just gonna, we'll just set up a phone interview so that you can call her out or whatever it is. And then, so I jokingly said, I was like, haha, yeah, I'm gonna say, like, after I fight her, I want to make out with her. And they were like, yes. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, you're gonna say that. I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so it was, it wasn't orchestrated by the PR guys, but it was definitely like they
entertained by it.
Yeah,
they were like,
and
fuck
I was
yeah.
like, you know what, this is kind of funny, and I'm gonna go with it, just because anybody who knows me knows that, like, I'm fucking joking.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you don't.
At the same time,
if I'm gonna just fucking grab her and make out with her.
Yeah, you don't.
Like, I actually envision us, like, getting in each other's faces at the weigh-ins.
And then just giving her a little.
And then, like,
yeah.
So as it started, like, the hype started building up in my head, I started being like, okay, yeah, actually, now I'm gonna make her feel really uncomfortable now. Yeah. And I'm gonna start, like...
And it worked, huh?
Yeah.
I feel like she did not... Like, I read what you said, and it's fucking dope, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then she started when, like, what's his name? Ariel Helwani. Well, he interviewed her, and he brought me up, and she's like, oh... Like, she...
Oh, yeah.
Her English is very broken.
After her fight, she was like, I can't even think right now, or some shit like that. She said,
my head don't work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we watched the fight together.
Yeah. That's hilarious, you know?
It's been fun.
Did it turn you off a little bit when you realized that maybe she's not as smart as you thought? You know what I mean? You're like, you know what, maybe I don't want to make out with her. I don't...
No, it was... Oh, God. I don't ever want to, like, say anything bad about fighters, but honestly what it was I realized why she doesn't smile in any picture. Dude, she's fucking hot. Like, if you look at her Instagram, she's fucking gorgeous, hot, like, Russian assassin.
Yeah.
Like, but I realized, I saw a video of her talking, and she laughed in it and smiled, and she got fucked up teeth.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like, oh.
You're like, good thing I don't jump on, I'm not going to jump on that
grenade.
grenade.
For me. I mean, it's not super fucked up, but I was like, oh, that's why she doesn't smile.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But, like, so, like, I'm never gonna talk about a fighter's looks and shit. Like, I'll fucking talk shit about making out with you and everything, but I'm not gonna, like, put someone down for anything. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, I heard she had to get nose surgery after her last fight. Yeah, she, like, broke her nose or something. Yeah. So, I know she's gonna be off the grid for a while. And, yeah. So, that fight will be fucking... I'll be super excited for that one. Either
way, it's going to be big things in store for you coming up. Hey, I want you guys to understand the passion and dedication behind this girl right now. She's fucking sitting here watching Bellator.
Oh, sorry, is that
right
bad?
now. No. It's not. It's dope as fuck. It's dope as fuck. Look at this shit. Like, she's got her phone up. She's watching Bellator right now. She's doing, like, her fucking work on the side as we're reading comments. That's fucking tight.
Well, I'm really
fucking
just interested in the girls' fights. That's why.
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit about this.
Hey, shout out to Fernando. He's fighting tonight. Against MVP. I'm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. The Mexican guy.
Yeah. The Menifee Maniac.
Yeah.
I trained with him a little bit. We were both at Team Quest when I first started doing MMA, and I reached out to him yesterday, and I told him after this fight, we got to have you on the podcast. He said, I'm all about it, man. So,
shit. Okay.
Shout out to him. I hope he destroys MVP. I know that dude, Michael Venom Page, is... he's been, making a lot of noise. He's doing a lot of work. Those of you that are curious who that is, that's that guy recently Bellator had a fight where the dude had his skull indented.
Cyborg.
Right? Cyborg got his skull indented from that knee that Michael Venom Page gave him. And then Michael Venom Page did like the Pokemon celebration after, right? And Michael Venom Page, if you don't know what I'm talking about specifically, he's also the other guy. He's the fighter that does all those dancing moves and shit, and he beats everybody up.
He's kind of a douchebag. He's kind of like a black Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Very similar
animated.
to that. Yeah, very animated. So Fernando Gonzalez, it's going to be a good fight. They were saying how Fernando Gonzalez just charges forward and he looks for the finish. And Michael Venom Page has never really fought anybody that does that. A lot of times they stand there and they're very timid and nervous to come in on a guy that's like dancing in front of you. You don't want to fucking make any mistakes against somebody so confident. So we'll see what happens. Tune in to watch Bellator, and we're gonna go watch the fight right now. Actually, we're gonna go to Hoop's house. And thanks a lot for being on. Any last plugins you want to do, Lima? You want to give a shout out to anybody or anything like that?
Fuck yeah! Shout out to all my awesome teammates. I just finished my last week of hard training. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
My last week of hard training. So my teammates, Team Hurricane Awesome, San Diego Combat Academy, Templana Jiu-Jitsu, or Templana San Diego, like, everyone's been awesome. The Mean Girls, everyone helped me. Liz was my main training partner throughout the entire camp. My coaches, Bill, Manolo, Boogie, YL. YL and Crutch are getting ready for the fight.
Yep.
So, we've all done our camps together.
Yep.
Eli is getting ready for his fight December 11th. Sergio, December 11th. It's fucking rad, like, being on the grind with all my teammates.
Yeah. It's cool as fuck. And I want to give a shout out real quick. Those of you that have been listening since the beginning on, I think it's podcast 2. I think episode 2, Eli, the guy that was on, he's making his pro debut coming up. So he's going pro and he's going to do some damage and he's going to be an up and coming star. So that's from nothing to something for real. You know what I mean? And shout out to San Diego Combat Academy, all your teammates. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to? No?
That's it.
All right, that's it. Hey, we love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's Saturday afternoon. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your weekend. We fucking love you. Shout out to everybody at San Diego Combat Academy. Shout out to everybody at Belator. Look for Ilima Macfarlane in her next fight in Bellator 167.
Saturday, December 3rd. It'll be on Spike TV. You guys can watch it.
Hell yeah, Saturday, December 3rd. I know I'm going to watch it. Hit me up, hit her up, follow her on Facebook, on Instagram. Look her up. We love you guys. I'll see you next week. Hey, on Thursday, I got a friend of mine, Chris the Swede. He's going to be on the podcast. He's also a martial artist. He's real big into fitness and nutrition. He's Mike Dolce certified at like a certain level. So he's going to come in here. He's going to talk about his climb through that and everything he's done and the struggle he had to go through, coming here from Sweden and things like that. So we're going to talk to him and learn a little bit about him. That's going to be next week on Thursday live around 7 p.m. We love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot on YouTube. Out here, guys. This one? This is on. This is Facebook Live, and then this is on the actual Spreaker website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah!